So our next session is the best Excel tips and tricks with Tony DeJonker. Tony is an expert in creating user-friendly financial models using Excel's modern power tools and Power BI. Since 1985, Tony has developed hundreds of models and brings over 40 years of work experience to his in-house and public training courses, delivering globally in English, Dutch, and German. He also writes a monthly Excel blog for the Dutch Controllers magazine and is the founder of popular events like Excel Experience Day, Excel Experts Class, Excel Summer Boost, and the Amsterdam Excel BI Summit. And I can see Tony's already sharing his screen, so I guess we're going to start now. Thanks, Tony. Take it away.
Yes, hello. Good day, everybody around the world. My name is Tony DeJonker, and today I'm going to show you lots of Excel tips and tricks that I've picked up along the way as I do my consultancy around the world. And yeah, my background is basically accounting and finance. So it's basically also from that background. By the way, I'm using also Excel with the Dutch version and the German version. And although I'm showing you everything here in English, the separators might be European format, but I'll show you later on what that's all about. So the agenda for today is basically the following: how to use Power Query in the same workbook without converting ranges into Excel tables. You notice when you want to use Power Query in the same workbook, it wants to convert it to tables. So how can you prevent that? We have a nice application for that. Also, when we have time, we show allocating budget amounts to the remaining months of the year. How to use let in combination with dynamic arrays. And if we have more time, we show you the top end values without using a pivot table and maybe also reconciling debtor amounts. Yeah, okay, so we have the following example here, which looks like this. We have a sheet called debtors. So those are a list of all the invoices that we send out to our customers. And these are the outstanding amounts that we hopefully want to receive at any point in time. This has been, let's say, converted into a table. You can see that over here, table design. So that one is called debtors. We also see the type of debtor it is, A, B, or C. And in the next table, you can see if it's type A, hopefully we'll get the amount within 30 days. If it's type B, it will be 35 days. And if it's type C, it will be 45 days. This table is also called debtor days. Here we see the invoice amounts and the invoice dates. Okay, so this is just two tables. Same we also have for creditors. So these are the invoices we get from our suppliers, our vendors. And at a certain point in time, we need to pay them, of course. These are the invoice amounts and the outstanding amounts that we need to pay. This table is called creditors. So these are just input sheets. So I made them green. Now the trick, of course, we need to allocate these amounts to the coming periods, the next months. So we create a allocation debtors and the allocation creditors. And we want to know in the end, how much do we owe, how much do we get? So what is the impact on our balance sheet account, our bank account? Also create here a parameter sheet with the start year, the start month, and the payment terms for our creditors. We have given these names. And I don't know if you know about names. These names you can give them by highlighting this range here and select formulas, create from selection, left column. Mind you, these names here in the left column must be without any space bars. So this cell here is now called start year, start month, and payment terms. So the first thing is, how do we get all the information, the data from the debtors here into this sheet allocation adapters. Do you need to copy it, paste it? Well, that would be the old days. The people are going to copy and paste them to the sheet. But of course, next time, if the sheet is going to change, we have to do it again. So that would not be flexible. But luckily enough, we have the dynamic arrays. So how would that work then? Well, I just type equal sign. I go to the adapter sheet. And what you need to do is just click on the edge of the table here, just above the adapter. You will see this black arrow pointing down. You click over there, click. Then you see the formula bar shows adapters, which is the name of the table, and between brackets, the name of the column. You press enter and you see what happens. It brings over all the items as a dynamic range, dynamic array. You can see that because of the blue border. So the formula is sitting in B7, and the rest is basically the same formula, but they are grayed out. Same you can do for the type, equal sign. Click on the type over here, and it will bring them in. Same will do for the date. I already pre-formatted the date, so it will come in nicely. And the amounts. So it means if the adapters table is going to change, these amounts are also changing as well. Now we need to know the receipt date. So if the invoice date is the 1st of September, hopefully we'll get then this within how many days? Well, we have to look it up, obviously. If it's type A, we will get it after 30 days. Okay, so how do we do that? Receipt date, that's this amount or this date plus, and we need to look it up, of course, using the XLOOKUP, XL. Here's XLOOKUP, click, double click, click on the FX here, FX. FX shows you the function wizard, so it helps you to, to put in all the data that you need. So the lookup value is then the A. The lookup array is, I go to adapters here, will be this column over here. Click, adapter days type. Return array is the column where we have the answer, which is this one here, days. Click. When I press OK, the form is there. As you can see, it made this formula over here, XLOOKUP, C7, semicolon, adapter days type, semicolon, etc. Here in Holland, Europe, the separator argument is a semicolon and not a comma. When you use the function wizard, they will put it there automatically for you. Well, of course, in the older days, we had to copy this formula all the way down, right? As many records as we have on the left-hand side. But now, since this is flexible already, these are already dynamic ranges, we can also make the receive date dynamic simply by putting a hashtag behind the C7. When you put a hashtag behind the C7, what happens is that it will automatically spill over down to the whole column. The date must also be done automatically. So click D7 hashtag. So both have been highlighted, press enter, and there you go. It automatically calculates receipt dates. Nicely done. So how about my future dates? Well, it depends on what is your dynamic range. Is it like 6 months ahead or 7 months? You can decide. In order to do so, we will create a helper placeholder, so to speak, using the sequence function. In itself, the sequence function shows you a list of numbers, a rectangle of numbers, could be vertically, could be horizontally. So how does it work? Equals sequence, double click, fx. So how many rows do we want to create? Well, basically one row. How many columns? Let's say we want to go 10 months ahead, so 10 columns. Start with 0. And the step value will be 1. Look at this. Press OK, and then we have to 0, 1 until 9. Okie doke. So that looks nice. It doesn't do anything yet. But now we want to start our calendar, our future dates, starting with whatever's in parameters. Parameters we said, okay, we have to start in 2024, month 10. So how do we do that here? Equals date. Use the date, fx. The year can be found in the parameters here, the start here, this cell over here, which is start here. The month is the 10, and the day will be 1. When I press OK, well, the form is there in cell G4. In the older days, we had to copy this form all the way to the right-hand side. But now we are in the modern days, and we can use the dynamic arrays by pointing this to a placeholder that's already dynamic. The placeholder that's already dynamic is this here, the sequence. So what I need to do is the following. I need to basically do the following: add plus add this number of months, which is 0, and put the hashtag behind that. Enter. And now we have the 1st of October, the 1st of November, etc. Now we need to know the end of the month. Well, you might be familiar with the end of month function. However, if you would like to use that function over here, it would not work in the dynamic array area. So we do the following. We use again the date formula, the date, fx. Go back to the year here, 2024. The month here is then the 10. I'm going to add up a 1 to go to the next month, and the day will be 0. Which forces me to go to the last day of the previous month, which is the last day here of October. See how that works? Show you again here. So 2024, month is 11, the day is 0, which points to the 31st of October 24. Of course, it needs to be dynamic. So how do I make it dynamic? Plus the 0 over here, hashtag. So now we have the end dates. Very nice. So, okay, now we need to have a line here, the same here. That one equals the start date, hashtag. Looks like that. Okie doke. So now these amounts need to be allocated to the appropriate time buckets, data buckets, so to speak. So the 113 euros must be in this column over here, right? So all the ones of October should come in here, October, November should come to November. So how do we do that? Well, it's like probably an if and formula, right? Or we have to say it in words. If the receipt date here falls between the start date and end date, then we want to see the amount. Otherwise, we don't want to see anything. Or again, if this receipt date is greater than the start date over here, and the receipt date is smaller than the end date over here, then show me the amount. Otherwise, don't show me anything. We could use this if and function, but we can also use none of these functions. We can also use them in an expression using Boolean algebra. I don't know if you're familiar with Boolean algebra. Might bring you back to the school time. Anyway, equals opening brackets. So this receipt date over here must be greater or equal to the start date over here. Equal to start date over here. Closing brackets. If this is true, it will be a 1 times the receipt date over here must be less or equal to the end date over here. Times this amount. And sure enough, it will show the the amount. Obviously, in the older days, we need to copy this formula all the way to the right-hand side and all the way down. But then you cannot do it just like that. You have to think about the dollar signs, remember? And you had to think about like, oh, the F7, that must be fixed on the column. So it would be dollar F7. The G4 would be fixed on the row, so G $4, etc. And the E7 must be fixed on the column. Well, luckily enough, we're in modern days. When we're using the dynamic arrays, we don't need to bother about dollars anymore. As long as I can, let's say, it stretches out to the right-hand side and stretched out downwards to areas that already are dynamic, this will become dynamic itself. So I'm doing the following. Put a hashtag behind the F7. Okay, let's see what happens. It picks up the whole column F7. Then behind the G4. See, it spreads out to the right-hand side. Same story over here. So put everywhere the hashtag behind it, so to speak. That means stretch it out or spill it over to the right-hand side down below. Press Enter. Cross your fingers and then pronto, it's already done. Wow, just like that. I already pre-formatted the whole thing, obviously. So we create basically one formula that spills out to the right-hand side and all the way down. It fills out the whole rectangle. Which means if numbers are going to change, it will also change over here. So let's check it out. For example, the first one, let's put it in 200 euros here, 200 euros, the first item here. And let's have it in the 1st of November, for example. So what happens now? It's already done. I don't have to refresh anything. It's done automatically, which is very nice. Now, the same story we do for the allocation of the creditors. So that one equals the column over here, creditors. The date. Amount. Is this one here. Okay, now the sequence then started, ended. We can basically copy it from here. So we can copy it from here already. Don't have to do it again. So now we need to allocate the amount. So how does this work then? Well, basically the date here plus the payment terms date, whatever comes out of there, must fall between the dates over here. So it's like equal sign, opening brackets, this date over here, plus F and F3. Remember, pick up the name, list of the names, payment term. That one must be greater or equal to the 1st of October here. Okay, let's put everything between brackets again. And now we multiply it again by, again, C7 plus the payment term over here, which they have 3 key, closing brackets, less or equal to, and date over here, closing brackets, times, obviously, this amount. So, looks fine, but now we need to make it dynamic. Very simple, put everything with a hashtag behind it. So here, see, hashtag, C7 hashtag, E4 hashtag, C7 hashtag, E5 hashtag, and the last one, D7 hashtag. Anytime when you enter the hashtag, you will see it expanding. Enter, and there we have it. Wow, it's done already. So far, so good. But now we need to know, of course, the totals. The total for the creditors, the totals for the debtors, and we need to know by month, etc. So we would like to use Power Query to make a total data table for that. So of course, if you want to use the pivot table and use Power Query for that, well, you would probably think of, let's say, data from table range. And then you would say, okay, this is my table range here. My table is headers. Okay. But then it will tell you, okay, it has forms in there. So if you're going to change this, it will also, get rid of the formulas. And then my formulas are not working anymore. My dynamic arrays are gone. Okay, so we cannot do that. What we need to do is basically create a dynamic range name using the offset function. Ooh, that was a long time ago. So how does that work again, the offset function? Remember, the offset function has 5 arguments. It starts with the left corner of the table. Then it wants to know how many rows do we want to go down. We don't want to go down, so 0 rows. How many columns to the right? We don't want to go to the right, so 0 columns. And then we need to find out what is the height of the table. So the height of, let's say, of column C. We can use count A for that one. And the width of the table can be found by using the count A for row number 6. So let's do it for here. So formulas. So define name. So name will be alloc debtors. And we are going to use the offset for that one. Offset, I'm going to type everything with small letters. We start at the left corner, upper left corner, which is this one here, which is pointing with the mouse. 0 rows, 0 columns, and we use the count A, and we'll count then the numbers of items in column C, closing brackets, and then count A for the row number 6, closing brackets, press OK. Let's see if it's there. Yeah, it should be there, alloc deb, okay. It's capital letters. Click on the formula over here. You can see the running ends looking at the area, which is our dynamic range for the debtors. So that's fine. That works out. Let's go to the creditors now. Also again, define name. We call it alloc creditors. We use again the offset for that one. Left corner over here, click 0, 0, and then we use count A to count the items in column C, for example, closing brackets, and then count A to count the records here in row number 6, closing brackets, press OK. Look at the name manager. Yes, it's there. Click on the formula over here. You see the running ends. Nice, it's there. So now we are going to use these dynamic range names in Power Query to load these in Power Query. How do we do that? Well, data, get data, and then from other sources, blank query, blank query. So query number 1, we type in the formula bar equals excel.current workbook, closing and opening brackets, enter. Now we see all the range names appearing over here. The ones that we now need is, for example, we're going to pick up the alloc creditors for now. Allocation creditors, there it is. We click on the double arrow. Use original column name as prefix. We don't want to have that one. Okay. Now, the next step will be transform use first rows as headers. Okay. Now, what do we have over here? The last column here, move to beginning. And then we don't need the creditor anymore. We don't need the date anymore. We don't need the amount anymore. So we remove those columns. And then we're going to basically now unpivot the rest. Right click, unpivot other columns. So this one attribute will be split home, split by column, by delimiter. Well, we take the space, leftmost delimiter, okay. So this can become our date now, date. Attribute number 2, we don't need it anymore. So remove, and this will be our amount, and then we get rid of all the zeros here. And our creditors will basically be type, and maybe we're going to get rid of the replace values. We don't see the alloc anymore. Well, these are the steps we are going to do. Mind you, we forgot one thing, because these are the amounts that we are going to pay. It would be nice to see these amounts as minus, right? So add column, custom column. We call that EMT. We're going to call it amounts already there. So this will be then my amount, insert times -1. No syntax has been detected. Okay. This will be decimal number. Then again, get rid of the amount. And this will become amount again. So we have now done the characters. Home, close and load 2, ... And let's have them as a connection only. Well, query number 1, maybe you should give a better name. Rename this as the creditors. Now we want to do it also for the debtors, obviously. So data, get data from file, from other sources, blank query. And again, equals Excel.current workbook, opening, closing brackets. And we're picking up the debtors from here, at least the allocation of the debtors. And let's call it here debtors as well, debtors. We open it here. Use original column names. No, we don't want to have that one. And again, transform, use first rows headers. Let me see. We are not going to use the type anymore. The date we don't want to see anymore. I think we also need to put the first column here, alloc debtors. Yeah, okay, let's put that in front of the table. Move to beginning. We don't need the debtors anymore. No type, no date, no amounts anymore, no receipt date anymore. So remove those columns. Then right click and pivot other columns. This one will become, we have to split that again, split column by delimiter. And again, we use the space, leftmost delimiter. Now that one is called undate. And we don't need attribute 2 anymore, so remove them, and this will become my amount. We don't need to see the zeros anymore. Alloc debtors becomes type. And right click and then replace values, alloc with nothing. Okay. So now we have basically, again, amount will be then decimal number. So creditors and debtors, they now have the same logical structure, so to speak. So we can probably make one big table out of it by appending those two. So home, append queries as new. Two tables, creditors and debtors. Okay, and there it is. Append number one, let's call it total data. Total data. And there it is. Now we go to close and load to total dots. And let's have it now first as a only quick connection. So this total data would be nice to create a pivot table out of that one. Right click, go to total dots, create a pivot table report in a worksheet. And let's have the amount in there and the type in the column. And the dates may be here in the rows. And maybe you don't want to see the months, no quarters, maybe something like that. And there we have it. Design. Some nice design over here. Right click on one of the numbers here, number format. Counting, so decimals. And design, report layout, table format. And we have here then basically our cash flow, so to speak, for these two items. Cash flow. Home, sales styles, title. So these are my payments to the creditors. These are my receipts for the different dates. And that's it. And this will become then my cash flow. Maybe I should call this then this cash flow. And of course, these are just two items. Maybe we will have more items later on, but for now, this is then our model. So if anything changes into the debtors to creditors, it will automatically be evaluated here in the allocation sheets. And then we only need to have to do the right click here and then refresh all. And the pivot table will also be refreshed as well. So as you can see, with dynamic arrays and Power Query, you can create these powerful reports, dynamic reports. Now, we have more for you in store. Reconciliation amounts. Sometimes you have these type of tables. You need to match these amounts. These could be vendor amounts, right? So you can do it manually. It takes you a lot of time. You can also sort it, etc. But these are just a number of items for now, but it could be like thousands of these items. Now the formula to use it is this one here. So basically we're using the SUMIFS formula for this table. So we're summing the amounts here for the range vendor, for the cell sitting in this cell here and the vendor, which can be highlighted by the hash, by the @ sign. We round it off and it should be equal to 0. When it does, it will show you if it's true or not true. So the ones that are true, we can show it, of course. They do match. They're 0. It's a very nice formula. People working in accounting can have lots of value using this type of formula. I see people are doing that all the time manually, Don't have to do it manually. So one amount could match maybe 10 lines. Something like that. Okay, then we have another one here for you guys. A map. Sales by region. Now, here we have like a table. The table is called data sales. And we are going to use the unique function onto the data sales region and sort it by alphabet. We create here a data validation list. Data validation list. So allow a list. The source is G4 hashtag because this is dynamic, it will also pick up any item that appears after G4. Then this one is created by using the filter function, which is also a dynamic array function. So how does this work? fx, the array is country sales, from country to sales. So basically picks up C and D, including data sales selection is true. And the selection is this here, Asia. Whatever is over here is then used for a map by using insert maps. So now you can basically select a region over here, and it will automatically pick up the data here down below and create the charts, which is really nice. And we have here for United States, or for Canada, etc. Okay. Now finally, I'll let you in on something here, which is called the let function. Maybe you've heard about the let function. Well, it's basically quite new for most people. So how does it work? Here we have a table again. The table is called data country sales. And we're going to use the unique and sort function to pick up all the countries here. We're using the sumIfs function to pick up the total sales by country. And now we need to calculate a bonus. Normally, when you create a bonus, you have like a table, you know, the table tells you at this amount, you get like so many % bonus, etc. And now it's actually all in one formula. Ooh. So how does it work here? We say the let function works as follows. It has several variables. In the let function, you use a first variable. You can give it the name. And after the name, you can give the text or a number or cell or range or formula. You can have a second variable, an nth variable. All these variables can then lead up to a calculation. So here we have a first variable, we call it sales. And the sales basically are the records sitting in data country sales, column sales, comma or semicolon here in Europe. Then we have a second variable called base bonus, which is 5%. Top bonus, 8%. Total sales, 500. And now we get the calculation if sales less than total sales, then take base bonus times F4 hashtag. Otherwise, take the top bonus times F4 hashtag. As you can see, it will do the job automatically. When you're using these let function, you know, it could be a very long formula. To make it readable, always make sure that you use the Alt-Enter key to go to the next line. So in this case, we use Alt-Enter many times to show the different variables. Obviously, this will work if it's not a big table. So if it's a really big table, and of course, let's say you have a table maybe of 20 lines, this will become very unreadable. Then maybe you should go back to the, the old-fashioned way of having a master table next to here. But yeah, for what it's worth, maybe this could be nice to implement at one point in time. Again, the let function is only available in the new Office 365, I think. Okay, I guess that's it for me for today, guys. If you have any questions, you are welcome to send me an email, and I can send you then the details to your email addresses. So thank you very much for joining me today. Merci. Vielen Dank. Obrigado. Gracias.
Well, thank you, Tony. That was great. We don't have any Q&A, but teams have been asking this in the sessions today. Is there anything that you would like to see in Excel that isn't currently available?
Oh, there's so many things in Excel. I think we still need to know, the new features about the let functions, the dynamic arrays. Most people are just, waking up and working with Power Query.
Yeah, that's true.
And then once they're woken up, I show them dynamic array. I say, whoa, even more. And then we go step by step, That's a whole puzzle. You can use the old stuff with the new stuff. And it's so versatile. I mean, I even didn't go to Python yet or whatever we have, And you don't need to probably go to there yet. People working in accounting and finance, they're happy to work already with the new features like shown you today. Python would be nice maybe for the data scientists,
Yeah.
Working with statistical stuff. And then 80% or 90% of people are not using it, so they won't use it properly.
And how are you getting along with the new AI stuff that's available in Excel now?
Yeah, it's there. And people say, do I need to use the AI? Well, I tell people AI will be there with or without you. So
That's true.
you can say, oh, I don't want to use it. Okay, it's fine with me. But, it's with the computers. You say, oh, we don't want to have a computer. Well, it will be there. The smartphone. I don't want to have a smartphone. Well, it's there, with or without you. So best way is to embrace it, and see how you can apply it.
Excellent.
Every day, step by step. I mean, I've seen all the stuff coming up. I mean, I started my career in the year that we didn't even have a computer. So I started out with the Lotus 1-2-3, But even then, in 1987, I could already automate the whole admin for my company where I used to work for.
Oh wow! Then, so you were destined for this one.
yeah. And now we don't even stop. We go continue and spread the news with the next generation. Yeah, the new generation Z. They need to learn as well now.
Very true. Well, thank you, Tony. That was a great presentation. Welcome. I'm going to show the evaluation form now.